connecting and going deeper in the Word with other women who are believing the Lord this coming weekend. And then this end of the month, 24th and 25th of March, I think Darlene Clausen is the one to talk to, but there's a women's retreat going to Shalom Hill. It's an overnight, Friday, Saturday, the 24th and 25th of March. Those are always great times. I don't know about what women do. I'm guessing a lot of talking and games or quilts. I don't know. What do women do? I've never been to one, praise God. But really, to get the guard down, to get that extra time together, usually reaps some great conversation, some great depth, some great prayer. So be thinking about ways in which you could plug in this coming month. Let's pray as we start our service today. Jesus, you're precious and you're good. We thank you that today we get a chance to meet together, to be unified in a bond of peace that the Spirit brings to us as believers. Today we grow both in our understanding and in our affection for you and for one another. You're precious to us. We worship you this morning. Amen.
Sometimes I see notes up here on the pulpit. How much time do I have? It says 30 minutes. I'll not do that. That must be for someone else. What drives your life? What's your purpose? What's your goal? A man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder. One day we'll stand before God and we'll need to respond to Him. What did you do with my Son, Jesus Christ? And what did you do with the gifts that I gave you? Isaiah 26:3, the Lord will give you perfect peace to those who keep their purpose firm and for those who put their trust in Him. So, have a goal. Have an objective, put faith and trust in the Lord, and live it daily. A couple of comments here. You notice here on Ray Willard's funeral will be on Tuesday. What it does not say is that there will be a visitation Monday evening right here at church from 4 to 7. Monday, 4 to 7. So let's pray for Dee and the family. Also for Mike James's family as his mother has passed away. Pray for them as they travel. Also for the family there. Other things I noticed here, the youth group, plans for the handicap restroom, children's church, things that are in the near future. Let's pray for the planning and the Lord would guide us in those things. And so what's on your heart, your mind this morning? Anybody just waiting to share just for a moment? Prayer request? Praise item? All right, well let's see. Do you have one, Pastor?
Yeah. One of the things I was going to share, and Megan, my wife and I have been... Check. All right. My wife and I have been working with a young gal, went through our Awana program and grew up down the street from us, Katie. Maybe you know her, Katie Bedner. And continue to encourage her as she's trying to get through college and work and all that. And I just want to ask you to pray for her and just for the Lord's provision and wisdom. Just a lot of things she's going through in her life right now, and even for us for wisdom, knowing how to best encourage her and build her up. And if you're interested in, there is one financial need. She's trying to get insurance back on her car, and if you'd like to help contribute to just help her out through that, let me know and pass it on through us. And we're working with the deacons on that. But
just wanted you guys to pray for her during this time as well. Just a lot of things going on, and for her to go through.
Okay, anyone else? All right, let's spend a few moments together in prayer. Father, we do gather together today. We're grateful that we can call you our Father, and that we can gather together in this house of worship to honor you, to praise your name. And Father, we do think of our missionaries that are out in many different areas even today, be it here in the United States, or those that are dedicated to working for you full time. We also pray for those that are abroad. And Fred and Desi and Darwin and Karen remind us of their responsibilities, and just pray that you would enable them to do well, that they would be encouraged, that their work might grow, and that your name might be honored in all that we do there. We do pray for Edie and the family. Pray for your comfort, your strength. Pray that it will be a time of spiritual growth and challenge for many. And just grateful for the good memory we have of Ray and the testimony that he lived before us. Also for the James family as they travel, and just pray for your strength and comfort to the family there as well. We do pray for the things that are before us, for the planning that needs to be done. We're grateful for the growing pains of the youth group. Pray that you'll give wisdom and insight there. Pray also for the decisions to be made as far as the handicap restrooms and the lift, things that our church needs. Pray that you'll guide us in those decisions as well. And even for a children's church, that it might be a time where the kids can learn, can grow together, and would be a good addition to our services. We're just grateful for the opportunity that we have to gather together. We marvel at the beauty of the day. We marvel at your power, your handiwork, and we're grateful for the many blessings that you've given to us. And Father, we want to offer to you an offering. Just pray that it will be used throughout the world to bring honor and glory to you. In your name we pray.
I have a couple of announcements that we have to do yet. Wanted to do a quick review of our annual meeting. We had an annual meeting last Tuesday, and there was a recommendation by the council and the trustees to replace 50 chairs in the back, buy 50 chairs to replace the overflow pews, and that did pass. The trustees are continuing to work on the lift and just the possibility of a building project that would include a lift and handicap bathrooms, so those things are still being thought through and looking at possibilities. On the council side of things, I would continue to pursue growing our vision. Every member sharing Christ lovingly at every opportunity. We're still, we're keep looking at how to share our story and then moving forward with sharing God's story. The council is also working on ways to improve the children's ministry, and part of that is looking at starting a children's church during the message part of the service. So those are some things that are in the works. There are possibilities that are being looked at and worked on. And then the one thing we spent some time on was just a discussion about the youth group space. It's a great problem to have that our youth group is so big that they need more space for some activities. So 3 options that have kind of risen to the top for our consideration is they've had some discussions with the Lakeview Gospel, and so one of the options would be to move the youth group to Lakeview, their basement. Another option would be to move Awana to Lakeview Gospel so that the youth group could use our basement for more activities. And the third option would be to replace the pews in the sanctuary with chairs so that this space could be more flexible. The timeline is that we would like to have the option, we decided to move in to have that space ready to use by September 2017. So it's not something that's we want to accomplish right now, but it's by the end of summer we want to have youth group to have more space to use for activities. So the trustees and the council need your feedback. Some of these options are, these are the options that have risen to the top for our consideration, and so we need your feedback. So the next few weeks, we might do one option that we may consider is doing a straw poll to help figure out which options to rule out, and so that will help give some direction of how to move forward. And so please be in prayer about this, and I emphasize again, give the church leaders feedback so we can have discussions about this. Okay, the other option, other thing I have to bring up is everyone as they walked in, if you're 15 and older, please fill out, it's a vote of affirmation every 2 years. We're supposed to give pastor a vote, and also there's some questions for feedback. So please fill those out, and at the end of the service, our two deacons, Willard Friesen and Elmer Schultz, are going to be standing in the back to collect these, and it says at the top of the page that these two deacons are the only ones that will see the comments. So be honest, and we want your feedback. So, thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I invite you to stand and worship with us.
Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. Oh, my soul, praise Him, for He is thy health and salvation. All ye Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. Oh, my soul, praise Him, for He is thy God and salvation. grace abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my rod. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you never fail, and you won't start now. And I will go
even in the deepest oceans, in the hardest, most overwhelming challenges of life, Lord, that you are there, you're with us, and Lord, give us confidence in knowing you, knowing your goodness, knowing your faithfulness, knowing you are a God who is for us, that we can step out and take big risks for you, even in the most difficult circumstances. Lord, challenge our hearts. We might live with purity and integrity in the world around us each and every day, and may we grow even in our time now, Lord. In your name we pray. Amen. If there's any kids in the house, what's up on the screen? Cookies. And have you ever heard the phrase, getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar? Do you know what that means? Tanner, do you know what that means? No? Well, when you're caught with your hand in the cookie jar, that means generally you're trying to sneak a cookie when you're not supposed to be. And there's a lot of times that, have you ever done that? When I was a kid, that was one of my formative moments growing up. I snuck a cookie. And I still remember it because I felt so guilty and so bad, and God used it to remind me just how important just living a life of integrity. And my parents are kind and generous, and I can ask them for one. I don't have to go sneaking around. But for some reason, I thought I'd try it, and it wasn't worth it. And anyway, but in life, are there ever times where you struggle with sticking your hand into that cookie jar? It's something you know, that maybe you should just leave that off limits. You've set boundaries. You've said, no, I don't want to go there, whether it's out of a personal conviction, or whether it's out of moral conviction, saying this is what God has clearly defined as off limits. I think even our own convictions, Romans talks about that when we violate our own convictions, at times that's a sin. If I've said, God, I don't want to watch R-rated movies because I know what that leads me to. Is it a sin to watch an R-rated movie in and of itself? Well, parents or kids plug your ears, but as a conviction, there are certain things that, hey, I know where that leads me. I'm going to set a standard, a boundary, and there's times we want to stick our hand in that cookie jar because we think, oh man, but that one or this, or maybe that's a bad example, but for some of us, what is it that you find yourself wanting to compromise, whether it's personal boundaries you've set or moral boundaries God has set, because you think, and we are so easily deceived into thinking, it looks so good. I mean, look at those cookies. Don't they look delicious? And what will it hurt if I take just one? And I was doing my taxes the other day. You know how it is. You can fudge numbers this way or that way. And we think, oh, but wouldn't it just be a benefit? There's so many things like that in life where we can cut corners, where we can compromise, where we can say, hey, my parents aren't looking. Maybe it's even at work. My boss is looking the other way. If I don't work my hardest, if I don't do my best, I mean, who is it going to hurt? And we start cutting corners, and we forget there is a higher calling, and we're going to talk a little bit about that today, is what is it that really shapes our view of all of life and how we live it. It's not that we just show up on Sunday to appear a certain way and look good, and then as we go through the week, I can live how I want. You know, as long as I look good for God on Sunday when I'm here in His house, I'm good enough, right? Well, no. And one of the things I want you to think about is we have that temptation and tendency to view God that way, that there are certain parts of our life we can let Him into, but the rest of it is kind of ours. You know, I can give Him 10% of my finances or 2% or whatever it is, and the rest is mine, so I can do with it what I want. And where is it that we start to realize God is a part of all of our life, every day, every minute? And when we start to live for ourselves, I mean, there's more consequences than we realize. And actually, we are being deceived into thinking, oh, what's the big deal? It looks so good. It's going to be so good anyway. But in the end, just like when I was a kid and took that cookie, do you know what came with that cookie? There was some guilt. Oh, society says the church just pours that on you, and if you didn't have the church, you wouldn't have to worry about guilt, right? Wrong. There are people who never grew up in church that face guilt. Where does that come from? There is a God who's created us. We have a conscience that works within us. And yes, as a church, there are times we can pour it on. But ultimately, we try to shape and mold in what God has designed, and hopefully not apart from that. But we're going to see today how we can approach life. And we can look at all of life. Now, what's hard is, and as we start digging into Genesis chapter 39, what we begin to realize is there's always exceptions, though, right? There's always exceptions when, well, of course, there's times when we can give in because maybe we just had a bad day. And on any good day, I can handle that. But there's bad days where, I just need that extra pick-me-up that looks so enticing. Or I just need that extra source of comfort that looks so intriguing, and it really is going to the wrong source of life. And what we see here in Genesis 39 is that Joseph was perhaps in one of those difficult situations, but again, rather than compromising, rather than giving in, he chose to be faithful. And even in being faithful, there were difficult times. But his conviction was to serve the Lord, to do his best, no matter the outcome. And that's something we want to learn from it. And as we turn, if you have your Bibles, turn to Genesis 39. We're going through, at this point, kind of the life of Joseph. 2 weeks ago, we talked about how Joseph grew up in a family of 12 brothers. It was a pretty dysfunctional family, with Jacob having 4 wives, and his kids were from all 4 of those wives, and there was some favoritism in there he showed to Joseph, and all that was brothers hated him. They eventually they captured him, wanting to kill him, but luckily one of the brothers convinced him, let's just sell him into slavery so he can live in misery rather than die and be over. And so they sold him as a slave. And last week we talked about Judah, who really was behind a bit of that, and how his heart eventually changed. But we're going to go back now with the story of Joseph to see what God's doing in his life. And so if you have your Bibles open to Genesis 39, it says, now Joseph was taken down to Egypt, and Potiphar, the Egyptian officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the bodyguard, bought him from the Ishmaelites who had taken him down there. And at this point in time, Joseph was 17 years of age, which at the end of chapter 37, I believe is where it says that he was 17 when he was sold into slavery. Where is that coming up yet? Anyway, but here's a little bit of that account. So he's a slave. He is sold by his brothers to Ishmaelite traders. They take him down to Egypt. They sell him. And he is now sold to Potiphar, the Egyptian officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the bodyguard. So this is a pretty big wig in Pharaoh's service. And he's in charge of the bodyguard, overseeing the protection of the king. And so Joseph is now serving right there in Potiphar's household. And one of the things we want to just remind you of, in verse 2 really highlights this. It says, now the Lord was with Joseph. And I'm going to say that's one of these key phrases that we begin to understand about what's going on here. How is it that Joseph can choose to respond to such difficult circumstances the way he does? And this is how. Because the Lord was with him. And the result of that is he became a successful man, even in the house of his master, the Egyptian. Now his master saw the Lord was with him, and how the Lord caused all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found favor in his sight, and became his personal servant. And what we see is the Lord was with him. And when we go through life, and we go through hard times, and would you say being sold as a slave, and taken away from your family, not only abandoned by them, but abducted by them and sold by them, would that be a difficult time in your life if you went through that? I mean, have you ever gone through anything that bad? And probably not. How in the world could he endure that? And this is maybe the key. The Lord was with him. And he knew that. And that shaped how he chose to live. He chose to live his life. And when the Lord is with us, what does that mean? I mean, throughout Scripture, you can see over and over the reminder that the Lord is with us. We are never alone when God is with us. Even in Joseph's case, when he's sold as a slave. Some of the verses that are powerful that I've memorized and that you've probably heard before. Isaiah 41:10. Do not fear, God says to the nation of Israel. His chosen people. They're facing enemies and nations that are coming against them. And he says, do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you and uphold you with my righteous right hand. And you go on to read the prophecy of Isaiah, and some of it is, if you forsake me, you're going to be judged and condemned. But don't fear, even in that, I've raised up Cyrus as my servant who's going to take you into captivity, but yet I will deliver you. I mean, God's promises are just flow, that his presence with Israel, his choosing of them, who he was, and he says, I'll uphold you with my righteous right hand. A few verses down it says, you'll take my hand. It's like we're walking hand in hand with God. Have you ever seen the poem Footprints in the Sand? This is something probably that was popular when I was a kid. I mean, you hear the song about it, and you saw the picture of it hanging on almost every wall of every Christian household. No, not quite. But how many of you had that at one point hanging in your house? Several. Yeah, it's a powerful poem of how this man had a dream. He was walking along the beach with God, and as he looked back over his life, there were times he only saw one set of footprints in the sand, and he said, God, how could you have left me? Because I see those times were the hardest times of my life. And how does God reply? He says, my son, I would never leave you or forsake you. What you didn't see is that one set of footprints is when I carried you through those hard times. To realize that no matter what we're going through, God is with us. And even in those hardest times of life. Now, how does that change in Joseph's life? Other verses. Psalm 46 is another one. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. He's present. He is there. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth should change and the mountains slip into the heart of the sea. No matter how cataclysmic things are going on around us, we can trust that God is still a present help, even in our trouble. He is a refuge, a fortress. He's our deliverer. Many other verses as well. Joshua 1:9. We can live with courage, with joy, because God is there. As the children of Israel entered into the promised land, but it was filled with Canaanites, with people who they were having to enter in and to have to battle with, because God was bringing judgment. But God said, I will be with you. Be strong and courageous. Do not tremble or be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. And we can live and serve others, loving them rather than serving ourselves, because we know ultimately God is at work. His presence and empowerment ultimately enable us to succeed. And we see that in Joseph's life, that what he did then became successful. Does this make, we take this principle and apply it, say, prosperity gospel. That means everything you do when you're walking with the Lord will be success, success, success. Well, yeah, look at what happens to Joseph. We haven't got there yet. But what happens? Well, it ends up he gets thrown in jail. We can't take it just that. But yes, as we walk in God's design for us, he does design us to bring good and not evil and harm, to do his work. And yes, oftentimes there is a blessing that comes with it. But even in this case, was Joseph the one that was prospering? Well, of course he was, right? He was now in command. In fact, I stopped right before the phrase in verse 5. It came from that time on. No, verse 4. Joseph found favor in the sight of Potiphar, became his personal servant, and he made him overseer over his house. And all that he owned, he put in Joseph's charge. And it came about from that time on, he made him overseer in his house and over all he owned. And the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house on account of Joseph. And thus the Lord's blessing was upon all that he owned in the house and in the field. So he left everything he owned in Joseph's charge. And with him there he did not concern himself with anything except the food he ate. And his whole household prospered. But when you read this, yes, God is blessing, but in the end, for whose gain? How wealthy was Joseph becoming off of this job? What was Joseph? A slave. Was this for his benefit? Indirectly, but not directly. Do you know what? What I saw is God's promise to Abraham. He says, Abraham, I want to bless you. Why? So that through you, all the nations of the earth will be blessed. God's design in blessing his people isn't just for our own gain. God's design in blessing us is that through us, the blessing is passed on. And that's what's happening. Joseph is perfectly content to serve with all his heart and to do his job, not for his gain, but for his master's. And when he gets the boot, does he take anything with him? Not a dime. He's not doing it for his own good. And when we choose to walk in the power of the Lord, again, it's not for our own good. When we choose to live a spirit-filled life, it's interesting how in verse 3 it says, now his master saw the Lord was with him, and the Lord caused all he did to prosper in his hand. And it doesn't go unnoticed. When we choose to walk with the Lord and allow him to fill us and lead us and work through us, 1 Peter 3:15 is written to a church in Rome that's undergoing persecution and difficult times. And what does Peter tell them? Sanctify Christ as Lord of your hearts. And when he is the Lord, when you're serving him and living for him and not for yourself, guess what's going to happen? He says in verse 15, be ready then to make a defense, because everyone is going to ask, not everyone, but to everyone who asks you to give an account for the hope that is within you, with gentleness and reverence. Do people notice? When you're not living for yourself and you're living for the Lord, they notice. What in the world is different about you? Be ready to give that account. And Joseph was promoted, and God was at work. It's interesting, we see throughout the New Testament, throughout the Bible, God calls us to live in a way following this example. Even Paul, as Paul was thrown into prison in Philippians chapter 1. If you have your Bibles, hold your place in Genesis, but you can turn to Philippians chapter 1. And in this, Paul writes in verse 12, I want you to know, brothers, my circumstances have actually turned out for the greater progress of the gospel, so that my imprisonment, where is Paul? In prison, in the cause of Christ, has become so well known throughout the whole Praetorian Guard. That's that's the highest level of guards. And also to everyone else, that most of the brethren, trusting in the Lord because of my imprisonment, have far more courage to speak the word of God without fear. He goes on to say in verses 20 and 21, according to my earnest expectation and hope, I will not be put to shame in anything. Where is he sitting? In prison. But even in prison, he says, I'm not going to be put to shame. It wasn't I who did wrong. I was just serving the Lord. But with all boldness, Christ will even now, even in prison, as always, be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. For me to live is Christ and to die is gain. Paul's sitting there is bad off or worse off than Joseph. And he says, hey, my imprisonment doesn't stop God being glorified in my life. In fact, it's been for the blessing of the whole Praetorian Guard and everyone who hears about it. I'm not going to let this get me down. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Wherever we're at, God's Spirit can fill us. If God is with us, who can be against us? Are we ready? Are we eager? Are we willing to serve the Lord in all we do, knowing our reward is from him? And Joseph displays this. Joseph then works with integrity and with faithfulness. He wasn't the primary benefactor of his work, but he demonstrated for us what God's design is for us to live, not just for ourselves, but to be a blessing to others. In a way, I could do a whole message on how work becomes worship. How living in God's presence isn't just about coming here on Sunday to worship God. It's about every day as you go through your life, you have a choice. Are you living it for the Lord? Is it your sacrifice of worship? And Joseph chooses it. He lives with integrity. He lives doing the right thing. He left everything. The master left everything he owned in Joseph's charge. He trusted him that he would do what was best. He probably didn't even have to keep the books anymore. My books? I don't care. Joseph's in control. He'll take care of that. Wouldn't that be nice? It says he worried about nothing. Verse 6. Concerned himself without anything except the food which he ate. And so Joseph worked with integrity. We see this encouraged even in the New Testament as Paul writes, you are a new person in Christ. Colossians 1:13. He kind of, in the book of Colossians, he sets this up saying, you were rescued from this domain of darkness. You are now transferred into the kingdom of his beloved Son. And being a part of this kingdom now, are you part of this kingdom? It changes everything about you. In fact, as he goes on to describe then how husbands treat wives and parents treat kids and slaves, he says, slaves in chapter 3, verse 22, slaves in all things, obey those who are your masters on earth, not with an external service as those who merely please men, but with sincerity of heart fearing the Lord. Whatever you do your work heartily as for the Lord rather than for men. He says, even though your boss might turn his back, you're not serving just your boss. Your new master is Jesus Christ. And what you do is worship. What you do reflects a heart that is willing to serve him. Knowing from the Lord you receive the reward of the inheritance. It is the Lord Christ whom you serve. He was willing. Joseph was willing to serve God. Paul writes, Peter writes about this in the 1 Peter chapter 3. I read verse 15 about sanctifying Christ as Lord just before that. One of the ways we do that, and he says in verses 8 and 9, let all be harmonious, living in peace and love and caring for one another. He says in verse 9, and not returning evil for evil or insult for insult, even when you're in those tough situations, but instead return it with a blessing. Even in those difficult times, even though Joseph was sitting as a slave, he was a blessing to his master. Why? So that you might inherit the blessing. There is a reward that is waiting for you beyond this world. Your treasure is in heaven, and it will be well worth it. People notice, because it's countercultural, we live with integrity. Not, again, trying to pad our pockets and protect ourselves. Not getting everything we can out of something for our advantage, but when we're willing to serve the Lord in all we do, knowing our reward is from him. Not only that, we also see Joseph willing to stand against temptation. And as you read on in chapter 39, this is the next paragraph of what happens. So Joseph was handsome in form and appearance. It came about after these events that his master's wife, Potiphar's wife, looked at Joseph with desire. And she said to him, lie with me. But he refused. And said to his master's wife, behold, with me here, my master doesn't concern himself with anything in the house. He has put everything he owns in my charge. There is no one greater in this house than I, and he has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. Joseph was being tempted. Now, beyond what he was allowed, beyond what God had designed, and beyond even what his master designed, temptation comes. And temptation comes to all of us. And what's interesting is how often our flesh is at war with our spirit, and those temptations continue to rise up. And Galatians 5:17 says the flesh sets itself in its desire against the spirit against the flesh. These are in opposition to one another, that you may not do the things that you please. That God really has designed us to live in the spirit, but the flesh will come up. And in Joseph's life, it came in the form of sexual temptation and the alluring invitation of his master's wife. And, a couple things. Number one, there's a lot of temptations that come with prosperity. When things go well, Joseph had things going for him. He was successful. He was respected. He was handsome, and he was handsome and form and appearance. Joseph had things going for him, and temptation often comes with success. Have you ever seen someone able to handle the pressures of life and deal with the temptations, but when success came, guess what came with it? those temptations to fall, to fail. I mean, you've heard about them, right? I mean, how many lottery winners struggle to live life after they have a windfall? How many movie stars, athletes who become professional? There's some that are great examples, but there's others that crash and burn along the way. Because temptation is very real, and often it comes with wealth. Paul wrote to Timothy in 1 Timothy chapter 6, watch out for the love of money, because it's the root of all sorts of evil, and many who are tempted by it fall away from the faith. Because again, we are caught in the allure of wanting more and more and more recognition, more praise, more pleasure in the things we want, and it's very tempting. It also comes when we feel abandoned, alone, rejected, and unloved. I think temptation thrives in success. Sometimes it thrives in our loneliness because, again, we feel like, man, Joseph could have said, I'm alone. Who's here to see me? I'm away from my family. He could have said, I'm a escort of us. And he came in to lie with me, and so I screamed. And when he heard that I raised my voice and screamed, he left his garment beside me and fled and went outside. Joseph was willing to flee temptation. There's times we have to avoid it, and Joseph did that. He didn't listen. He wasn't alone with her. And Proverbs 7:25 says, don't let your heart turn aside to her ways. Do not stray into her paths. Proverbs 5:8 says, keep your way far from her. Do not even go near the door of her house. Why? Because when we start flirting with temptation, guess what happens? We put ourselves in hot water. And Joseph, I don't know that he was flirting with it, but one day it so happened he went in to do his work, and she had a plot to get him in, and he didn't give in. He fled temptation. Even in the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 6:18 says, flee immorality. There's times just flee. Now, is what happened because of this good? Not at all. What does she do? She now blames it on him, saying he came in to make sport of me. And she waited then till the master came home. Verse 19, when the master heard the words of his wife, which she spoke to him, saying, this is what your slave did to me, his anger burned. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the jail, the place where the king's prisoners were confined. And he was there in the jail. So what happens? He ends up getting thrown into jail. One of the things we have to remember is when we face these temptations, and we know there's going to be consequences, sometimes there are bad consequences for doing the right thing. And Joseph was framed despite his faithfulness. But he still chose. He still knew God was with him, and he was going to choose to follow God's way. Because he knew that it was God's reward that mattered most of all. It was God's reward. Even if his master threw him in jail, even if the master's wife, who approved of him and liked him, even if she said, fine, if I can't have you, this is going to happen. Even if that happened, he knew it was God's reward that mattered most. And so often, we daydream as if giving into this temptation is really going to be the better life. Do you ever daydream about that? I mean, have you ever thought? I know when I was in junior high or early high school, I daydreamed a lot. And it was about those temptations, and it was not good. But I thought, in my mind, I really thought, oh man, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't that be good? And I'm so glad I had enough sense that even though I knew that looked appealing, I knew that wasn't the way I wanted to live. And by the grace of God, I didn't have the opportunity to pursue that. Whew. But how often do we still daydream about things, and we really are deceived into thinking it looks better? If only I could, if only that would happen, or if only things would go this way for me. And it's like, wait a minute, really? Or will we believe that, no, God's reward matters most? And Joseph had a choice, a difficult choice, because he ends up being thrown in jail about it. But he's willing to say, Lord, it's worth it to follow your way. He saw temptation for what it really was, an evil, sin against God. And even though he was framed, he did the right thing. And what's amazing is his heart doesn't change. Because so often, when we do the right thing, when we serve the Lord, we expect to be blessed, and He blesses us, and we're like, oh yeah, this is the way life is supposed to be. But then all of a sudden things go wrong, and then what happens? Then we want to look at God and say, God, what's wrong with you? Right? This isn't how it's supposed to go. And God says, I'm still with you. And Joseph believed that. He understood that. And it says then here, the Lord was with Joseph. Verse 21. Again, this phrase, the Lord was with Joseph. Not only was he with Joseph in Potiphar's house as a slave, he was with Joseph in the deepest, darkest pit. I mean, this guy is captain of the bodyguard. You think he knows where the dungeon is? And here's where Joseph's thrown in confinement. But the Lord was with Joseph. And Joseph continued to live with conviction, and God extended kindness to him, gave favor to him in the sight of the chief jailer. The chief jailer committed to Joseph's charge all the prisoners who were in the jail, so that whatever was done there, Joseph was responsible for it. This is unheard of. Because look, verse 23, the chief jailer didn't supervise anything under Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him. Another time that phrase is used. And whatever he did, the Lord made it prosper. God's presence with Joseph changed everything. Joseph understood he wasn't just a pawn at the hand of his slave owner. He wasn't just a pawn in the hands of his brothers. Joseph knew he was in the Lord's hands. And he was willing to do what was right and to serve the Lord and to not give up on him. Even when he was framed, he was falsely accused. Is this justice taking place? Not one bit of this was just and fair and right. But again, Joseph's hope wasn't in the Justice Department of the day. His hope was in the Lord. And he knew it wasn't beyond God. In fact, what you begin to see as the story moves along is God's putting him exactly where he wants him to get him where he wants him to be. And that's humbling. Because it isn't always a smooth road. It isn't always easy. But when we allow God to work, we're never outside of God's hand. In Hebrews 13:5, we're reminded, God says, I will never leave you or forsake you. There's never a time when we are beyond his control. Even if we're being sold into slavery, treated unjustly, falsely accused, framed, thrown in jail. Peter, was he falsely accused? Was he thrown in jail? Peter was hung upside down, martyred for his faith. Paul and Silas in Philippi in the stocks. What are they doing? They're singing praises to God. Why? Because their perspective isn't of woe is me. Their perspective is, we're in God's hands. We're in God's hands. Even chained in the stocks, and an earthquake comes and sets them free. Does that always happen? No. You read Hebrews 11, verses 39 and 40. There were all these people who were what? They were killed. They were sawn in two. They were thrown in prison. They were fed to the lions. But they gained approval through their faith, even though they didn't receive what was promised, because God has provided something better for us. So that apart from us, they would not be made perfect. There is a promise that God is going to fulfill, a reward for those who choose to walk by faith. Are we willing to walk in those shoes? No matter our circumstances, to recognize God is present and to serve him in the good, in the difficult things of life, through all the temptations that come, to serve the Lord and do our best, honoring him no matter the outcome. Dear Lord, I pray that our lives could reflect that we could understand the fullness of your presence with us and all that that means. Lord, when we are yours, we can rest with confidence knowing that you are at work in us. Even in the most difficult situations of life, we know that we can be living for your glory and your honor, that you will work and bring about your plan for us. Lord, thank you for Joseph's example. Thank you that you have shown us that even yourself as you went to the cross and you died and paid the penalty for us so that we can know even death does not have control over us. You are the first fruits. Death won't have victory even over us. Lord, we thank you for those promises. That we can rest in, that we can know. We can live for your glory each and every day.